A key story of the day, President Trump meeting with Chinese leader Xi Jinping in Beijing. We're going to get straight over to Eamon Javers. He is on the ground in China this morning. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you, Andrew. You're looking at live pictures now of President Trump arriving at the Great Hall of the People. This is for the banquet this evening. Remember, it is evening here in Beijing, and they have a star-studded cast of CEOs and political figures attending this state banquet at the Great Hall. You just saw the president arrive. They're about to get underway. We've seen cameras in the room. Elon Musk is there, along with a whole host of American CEOs as well. The president was greeted by pomp and ceremony earlier today at that same Great Hall of the People. We saw soldiers marching, adoring children, and of course this handshake, which was a large part of the reason that President Trump traveled halfway around the world to come to Beijing to signal friendly relations with the Chinese side, and he hopes to cut some significant business deals. The president at that meeting touted the size of his CEO contingent. Here's what he said.
I just want to say on behalf of all of the great delegation that we have the greatest businessmen, the biggest, and I guess the best in the world. We have amazing people, and they're all with me. Every single one of them, we asked the top 30 in the world, every single one of them said yes. And I didn't want the second or the third in the company. I wanted only the top. And they're here today to pay respects to you and to China. And they look forward to trade and doing business.
So some fairly effusive remarks from President Trump at that bilateral meeting. We also saw comments from Xi Jinping at that meeting. Two warnings for the U.S. side from Xi Jinping. One was on Taiwan. The Chinese leader said that the Taiwan issue, if the U.S. doesn't handle it properly, could lead to a dangerous confrontation between the two countries. He said Taiwanese independence is not compatible with peace in the Strait of Taiwan. So a stern warning there on the issue of Taiwan, and also the Chinese leader bringing up this concept of the Thucydides trap, the concept that the rising power in the world will always challenge the established power in the world, and that will always lead to a conflict. Xi Jinping raising that sort of philosophical point to say that this is one of the great questions of history. Can the U.S. and China manage not to fall into that trap of competition and conflict and war that we've seen time and time again throughout history? So we'll monitor this state dinner that you're seeing right here. Again, trying to get a sense as we look at these live pictures, guys, of who all is in the room. But it is a star-studded cast of CEOs and corporate executives there. Back over to you.
Hey, Eamon, before you go, do you have any background on the whole Jensen pickup in Alaska story? And I ask because Joe and I were just talking about this headline this morning about these H200 Nvidia chips that may be now in the offing as part of a deal to 10 Chinese firms. Obviously, it sounds like he wasn't on the original either invite list or manifest or something.
Yeah. So a couple things. I don't have all the detail on this, Andrew, so I have to be careful where we are. We don't have great communications. We haven't heard anything from the U.S. government, but we don't have any confirmation that anything new at all has happened with regard to Nvidia and the chips, right? I mean, if you read that Reuters story very carefully that crossed this morning, it's getting a lot of attention, and rightfully so. But the story does not say that anything new has happened here at this summit. What the story appears, to my read, to be referring to is approvals that the U.S. government made for sales of these chips back in December and January, right? So months ago, these approvals were made. And the Reuters reporters have uncovered new details about what exactly those approvals were. And it appears to me, again, to my read only, it appears that what they're talking about is that those approvals have not made a difference for Nvidia because the Chinese have not made the purchases that have been approved. Why did the Chinese not make those purchases? Well, because they're concerned of a couple things. One is they're concerned about Huawei, their domestic competitor. They want to beef up that company, so they want to steer business to them. They're also concerned about potential U.S. intelligence manipulation of the chips that are sold to the Chinese side for surveillance purposes. So the whole context of that Reuters story is that these approvals happened months ago. They still haven't resulted in sales. Jensen Huang is at this state dinner in order to try to break that logjam and to try to sell some of those Nvidia chips. If he can, if the Chinese announce major purchases, that would be a big deal for Nvidia. But it's my understanding, again, based on the information that I have here, that nothing new has been signed with regard to Nvidia as part of this chip, and I think that's as part of this trip, and I think that's why Treasury Secretary Bessent told Joe earlier today in their conversation that he hadn't heard about that it was news to him.
How do you know that? You saw the transcript.
That's my read of what Bessent.
Well, how do you know what Bessent? I'm jumping the gun.
It's hard for me to keep track of the.
Told me.
It's hard for me to keep track of the time zones here, Joe. I can't tell what's past and what's future now. I apologize if I'm jumping the gun on your exclusive, which was great.
No, he punted. Yeah. He said that's a commerce. That's a Department of Commerce situation. But even the Reuters piece, you're absolutely right. I mean, it was more interested, or it was more delineating who the 10 firms were. This is what we know. But then it in an afterthought almost said there's been no deliveries made up to this point, and Jensen Huang really wants that to happen, and that's probably why he hopped on the plane. Yeah, but you're right. Yeah, we're going to play it. We're going to play it right now.
So I just wanted to caution that
you know, we got a few things you haven't. We got a few things you haven't already. There's a couple of things you haven't already given away that are still in that we can, hopefully
make some hay out of.
Yeah.
Okay.